I'm on a quest to find the best D1 college basketball experience in Massachusetts, so I find myself in my own backyard at UMass Lowell at the Costello Athletic Center to watch the 11-4 Riverhawks take on the 5-12 UMBC Good Boys in an America East matchup. The parking was right next to the arena. It was a little cramped, but there were certainly enough spots to fit the arena or any of the other sports venues that happened to be around. Unfortunately, the gate did try to kill us as we left, so it's going to get a 6 out of 10. Costello sat in the middle of an athletics complex that included their blue turf that Boise State tried to give them a cease and desist for. The building itself was not all that attractive. The stadium also kind of stood in the way between the college itself and the parking lot, so you couldn't really get a good sense of the campus vibes. Plus, UMass Lowell has 3 campuses across the city, so it's really tough to judge the campus vibes of the place, but it definitely feels like a college in a large industrial city, so it's going to get a 5 out of 10 for campus vibes. The stadium itself was a bit underwhelming. It felt like a small high school gym. There was a fence in the way the whole time of actually seeing the game, and even if you moved up higher, you still couldn't see it all that well. There was no Jumbotron, only 2 little scoreboards just like at BU. Plus the buzzer was like wicked annoying actually. It was like a high-pitched tinny thing and it really grated on your ears. So it's gonna get a 4 out of 10 for that. However, I will say, everything else inside the building was great. The outside didn't look great, the stadium itself wasn't fantastic, but everything else around it was exactly what I was looking for. It was bright, clean, and had a ton of sports memorabilia and trophies from all of its other sports. It was a total contrast from the rest of the building, so it's gonna get a 7 out of 10. Now, even though students weren't back on campus yet for this game, it was still 80% full. I was very impressed by the turnout. The crowd was really into it. We were all kind of jeering at the refs and the other coaches and the other players, but that's just what you get when you mix a masshole and a Baltimorean. So for the atmosphere of this game itself, it's going to get an 8 out of 10. The announcer's sound system wasn't really the best. It kind of echoed and wasn't loud enough in some cases, but was too loud some other times. There was really no sound control on it. It was tough to hear the player intros as a result of that, but the band played through it, so we can kind of excuse it a little bit, meaning that it's going to get a 5 out of 10. The jerseys were solid, the colors didn't really clash for either team, and honestly, they were just pretty normal. My only gripe was that the red trim on the blue letters for Lowell from a distance made it tough to see, and it kind of made some letters and numbers more difficult to read, but maybe I should have just worn my glasses. So the jerseys will get a 7 out of 10. There were technically very few students, so the student section is going to definitely take a hit. However, the band was there, and for the band alone, you get a 4 out of 10. The seating was just standard benches. There wasn't really anything else about them. They weren't too uncomfortable. They weren't anything great. The steps that were going down were a little steep, actually, and that dumb railing was just in the way no matter where you sat. So we eventually just settled on sitting in the front row so we didn't have people's heads in our way. And it's going to get a 5 out of 10 for the seating. They could fix this very easily by installing the clear one that they have at TD Garden. The concessions had very limited drink options. I believe only water, Coke, and Pepsi. And it had an okay food selection, but I will say, it was very cheap. I got a hot dog, chips, and a Reese's for $9. I'll call that a win at a game, considering I got a Reese's Pieces and a water for $10 at Harvard. Plus, the larger of the 2 concession stands was in this really cool lounge area, so we're gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Max Brooks had a 24 and 13 double-double, led the game in scoring, with Ayinde Hakeem had 14 and 9 assists, while Dion Brown's return to his birth state was impressive with 23 and 10 boards, as the Riverhawks held off the Retrievers 86-82 in a very entertaining and tightly contested match. All in all, the Costello Athletic Center is going to receive a 57 out of 100, which does tie it for last with Harvard's Lafayette's Pavilion, but don't worry, UML will be back in 3 weeks for the Tsongas Center when they take on UNH.